A family broken by an act of violence. The children of a couple share their memories of their parents shot to death in their driveway.
The nation's highest court delivers a blow to the Trump administration. A decision by the justices may have just extended the DACA program.
And music is the language of love for these senior citizens. How they're finding new romance on the dance floor.
But first, deadly gunfire in a driveway kills a young mother and father and leaves their 3 young boys orphaned after the Guadalupe County Sheriff's Office says a gunman shot the couple yesterday morning.
The suspect in the case is a doctor, 56-year-old Robert Edward Fadal II. Eyewitness News reporter Jeremy Baker is live from Guadalupe County with more on the victims. Jeremy?
The family tells me that Anthony and Tiffany Strait were getting ready for a fun family outing Sunday morning, but that outing never happened because police say they were shot to death in their own driveway and their 3 boys were right there.
She was here whenever me and her dad needed her.
My son was the best person that anybody could know.
The mothers of Tiffany and Anthony Strait just beginning to mourn the death of their 2 children. Anthony was 27, Tiffany just turned 30.
He took these boys in when he was 18 years old. And he's raised them from that point on. They were his. He didn't consider them anything else but his.
I don't know how I'll live without her, but I have her 3 boys that we have to raise and love and take care of.
That's Landon. He's 7. His brother, 9-year-old Ethan, and oldest brother, 10-year-old Colin. They were there when it happened, but now they are focusing on the good times.
My dad got us dirt bikes. He took me out of school when he first got me my dirt bike. We would always go fishing with little goldfish. I always loved to ride dirt bikes. And I would ride them every day after school.
Okay, I know.
So many tears shed over the last 2 days.
They didn't deserve this. You don't deserve it.
And they've only got one question.
I just want to know why.
And that why is what investigators are trying to figure out. Meanwhile, Fadal is being held on $2 million bond and faces 2 charges of capital murder. Live from Guadalupe County, Jeremy Baker, KENS 5 Eyewitness News.
So tragic. Thank you, Jeremy, for that live report. In other news today, a shooting victim makes it to a Northeast Side gas station to get help before collapsing. Police found the man at a gas station at Harlow and Eisenhower Roads late last night, and they tell us he'd been shot several times in a field not far from that business. He's in the hospital in critical condition now. Officers are questioning a person of interest, but they're still trying to figure out exactly what happened.
A suspected drunk driver is in custody today, charged with hitting another vehicle. The impact threw that driver from his truck. About midnight, the first driver turned onto Loop 410 from Highway 16. Police say he ignored a yield sign and clipped a pickup truck. The impact caused the truck to roll over, throwing the driver out, and he's now in the hospital in critical condition. Officers arrested the driver who hit him. He faces a charge of DWI.
And in this next story, he might have been too greedy for his own good. Police nab a suspected robber after they say he stopped during a chase to pick up some stolen cash. Officers say 2 men broke into a Bike City on Blanco Road and were noticed by a freelance photographer who called 911. Well, the crooks tried to outrun the cops on I-10 and at some points going over 100 miles per hour. They both might have gotten away, police say, but one man actually hopped out of the pickup to get some cash that landed on the ground, and he was arrested there. And then the other robbery suspect is still on the loose.
A 17-year-old woman in El Paso faces capital murder charges today for stabbing and killing her newborn daughter. Authorities say she gave birth to a baby girl at her home February 9th. The child was found dead about 12 hours later, wrapped in a bathrobe inside a storage shed. Investigators say the child was left there immediately after birth, and the baby had stab wounds and cuts to her neck and body. Gomez was taken to jail where she's being held on an $800,000 bond.
Federal investigators arrived in Dallas yesterday to analyze the site of a deadly explosion last week that killed a 12-year-old girl. The National Transportation Safety Board sent a 3-person team to look into that blast, which injured 4 others and destroyed a newly renovated house. 2 other gas-related problems were reported last week in that same neighborhood. Now, the NTSB has jurisdiction because the case seems to involve natural gas pipelines. Over the weekend, Dallas city officials lifted a mandatory evacuation order for about 300 families, but natural gas service remains suspended.
More than a week after the Florida school shooting, students in North Texas walked out of their class in support of their fellow students hundreds of miles away. Dozens of teenagers at Shepton High School in Plano marched into the tennis court holding signs calling for tougher gun laws. A nationwide walkout to protest school violence is set for April 20th, the 19th anniversary of the Columbine High School shooting.
At the Supreme Court today, a victory for Dreamers and a setback for the Trump administration. It's part of the ongoing battle over the future of immigrants brought to this country illegally. Mola Lenghi has the latest now from Washington.
The nation's highest court rejected a request from the Trump administration to consider the fate of the DACA program before an appeals court took up the case.
I think everybody in this room wants to help with DACA, but the Supreme Court just ruled that it has to go through the normal channels, so it's going back in.
The Supreme Court's decision virtually ensures that the controversial program will remain in effect past the March 5th deadline imposed by the Trump administration.
We're going to legalize and have a path to citizenship for them.
Senator Chuck Grassley is part of a bipartisan group of lawmakers looking for a path to citizenship for undocumented immigrants brought to this country illegally as children. The Trump administration says it is open to permanent protection for so-called dreamers, but wants changes to immigration laws and tighter border security as part of the deal. President Trump blames Democrats for the stalemate.
The Democrats are being totally unresponsive. They don't want to do anything about DACA. I'm telling you, and it's very possible that DACA won't happen.
Senator Chuck Schumer has a different view.
President Trump created this problem by terminating the DACA program last August. Since that decision, President Trump has stood in the way of every single proposal that could become law.
President Trump says the Obama administration exceeded executive powers when it created DACA. Mola Lenghi, CBS News, Washington.
So that case now goes back to the 9th U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals out in San Francisco. Now, that court has ruled against other Trump administration programs targeting immigrants, including its attempts to institute a travel ban involving Middle Eastern countries. Now, we could hear the 9th Circuit Court's final ruling on DACA by the end of this summer.
Good afternoon. If you are heading out the door, let's take a look at your roadways. We do have a couple of accidents to let you know about. Over here on the northwest side, an accident causing a big slowdown around 1604 at Northwest Military Highway. Also, another accident, Loop 1604 southbound at Highway 90. We can show you a shot of this scene over here. It's along the service road of 1604 southbound, and you can see traffic is backing up there as a result. Also checking over here, additional roadways, 281 at 410. Look how much it's backed up just since we checked in with you. And this obviously is an area that usually gets congested around rush hour. Bill Taylor, how's it going?
Yeah, you got to do the zipper merge. Zipper merge, people. All right, in the air today, mold is heavy, 1480, but no cedar today. We had a little leftover cedar show up in yesterday's count. Oak and elm are both light. Beautiful sunshine Sunday. Again today, the weather is gorgeous, but don't wash the car. We've got changes heading in tomorrow. Deborah?
All righty, Bill.
Well, my car needs a wash, Bill. I'm sorry. How long am I going to have to wait? Okay, all right, very good. Well, speaking of rain, half a year after Harvey, some of the most vulnerable storm victims still need help to get their tails wagging again. That's next.
It relieves